Journey through the history of Lough Derg. Lough Derg has a long and varied history, too long to recount in detail. But what is known comes mainly from the 12th century.
The very earliest accounts we have of Lough Derg refer to the time when it was a monastic foundation of Celtic monks. Somewhere in the 1100s, these monks were replaced by Augustinian canons. On medieval maps which show Ireland, the most significant landmark shown is St. Patrick's Purgatory, presented not as a lake, but as a cave. We have written records of the pilgrimage on Lough Derg going back to about the year 1150. In the earliest accounts, and right down until the late 1700s, the vigil was observed in a cave. And the pilgrim was enclosed in this cave for the 24 hours of the vigil. The cave was finally replaced in 1780 after what we call the penal times, the post-Reformation period, when the wars of religion were beginning to abate and the pilgrimage was being reorganised by the diocesan clergy. It's interesting that the pilgrimage was uninterrupted right through the penal times.
Lough Derg, I'm very proud of the fact that Lough Derg is the only existing institution on the island where there's unbroken religious practice. We're literally doing the same thing as people did 8-9 centuries ago, and that to me, that's an extraordinary thing, and by world standards it's quite outstanding.
But by the late 1700s, the cave was replaced by a chapel which could accommodate better the several thousand pilgrims who came each season. And by the early 1900s, in 1919, the great Irish architect in a Hiberno Romanesque tradition, Professor Scott, was commissioned to design the present church now, or the Basilica of St. Patrick.
Everybody knows about St. Patrick, and St. Patrick's Day is celebrated everywhere. And we associate St. Patrick with Ireland and with coming to Ireland, preaching the faith to people. And as he describes himself in his confession, it wasn't just in the big centres, he went out into places where nobody lived almost, and on the mountains, and he describes how he prayed there as a slave before he came back to Ireland, and in the wind and the rain and so on. So people who go to Lough Derg, this little island in a mountain lake, in the extreme west of Ireland, that's very much, it evokes the whole person of St. Patrick and everything that St. Patrick stood for and worked for through his life, and in that sense we identify very much with, it is identified with the Irish nation. There's nothing like St. Patrick's Purgatory anywhere in the world. Well, I'd like to think that people who go to Lough Derg are put in touch with St. Patrick and all that St. Patrick stood for. You know, that you're almost walking around the way he walked around, and even the fact that you have no shoes on, you know, makes that, brings that out very, very clearly. You know, you're reduced really to the level of just your physical self, you know, no comforts and no food and no sleep and so on. And this was something that in St. Patrick's Day was seen as the way to really get in touch with the spirit of the gospel.
And so this remarkable pilgrimage, despite the many hurdles it has had to overcome, has not only survived, but grown. It continues to be a living remnant of the early Christian church in Ireland, providing solace for today's pilgrim as it did all those years ago.